Welcome to the Rare-9 podcast. I'm your host and moderator, Selina Laverne. Today's guests include the Reverend Dr. Mckinney Jr., Dr. Rare-9, and Mr. Forrest Atkins. Today with my panelists, we talk about the subject of respect and how it applies to the life of our young people today, especially with them just starting back to school. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this episode. Welcome, everyone, to the Rare-9 podcast. Okay, gentlemen, let's talk respect. Forrest, I will start this segment with you. How do you relate to Joe and his experience with going back to school?
So back to school, kind of trying to, I know it's what a lot of youth deal with is trying to fit in. And sometimes youth try to find themselves to fit into wrong crowds. Maybe talking about the social aspect and the atmosphere of school, because it can be a crazy situation getting into that. Thinking back to when I was in school, it was hard because you had all these little social groups, and some were bad, some were good, but all of them were kind of peer pressure.
Yes, peer pressure can definitely be a challenge to our youth. Reverend Doctor, please share your thoughts around peer pressure.
The biggest plus for peer pressure is if a student can find individuals who are progressive minded and moving in a positive direction. And that's what we are working towards, establishing a positive direction for students to move into, and a different view of themselves. Oftentimes, students have low opinions of themselves, low esteem. And how do you build that esteem? Some of the peer groups have already established the requisites for being a part of the group. Some of them are negative, and they have every intention on being negative. And how do you stay away from the negative peer groups? That's what we have to establish. You have to first understand who you are better and what you're capable of better. And we come in as a group in Rare-9 to build students' opinions of themselves up, have them understand their qualities and their pluses, and the importance of respecting themselves first. Then they can respect others, and establishing rules to live by.
There it is. Yeah. You nailed it.
I absolutely agree with Dr. Rare-9. Reverend Doctor, you hit that head on. Please continue to share your thoughts with us.
Okay. The comments that I have deal with students who make decisions, and those who make positive decisions move in a progressive manner. Those who make bad decisions move into the peer groups that have already been established. They know who the people are and they know the groups to enter into. And our job is to meet them where they are, have them understand the principles that we work under, dealing with respect first, respecting yourself and respecting others, respecting those things which belong to others. Uh, Respect goes as one of the primary areas of focus, because once we can identify the student's position with respect, we can start to build from there. We have the mechanisms within our program to help students establish parameters to live by and to operate in. And we're organized to assist students in developing the tools that they need to be successful. That's our journey with the students who have peer pressure problems, who have mindsets that aren't focused on being positive, and we have to turn them around utilizing the tools that we have in our program.
And that's part of our mission and vision.
Expand, please.
Well, yeah, that's what our mission is all about. Helping youth to turn their lives around, be progressive, positive, and our vision is that we can provide them with the necessary tools for the future to be better, productive citizens. And that's what we're shooting for them to go out and have careers and look back and help other people. And our vision is to expand out in communities, and then we build our organization up to where we can have a organization structure that can reach out into various states, possibly universities, using our model, the Rare-9 model into schools, DJJ, DSS, etc. So what you're saying is 100% on point.
That sounds absolutely amazing, gentlemen. From what I'm hearing, the Rare-9 Jaguar Mentorship Organizational Framework really has a solid approach backed up with your vision and your mission to really, really make a impact in the life of the youth, and that can also be extended to other organizations and other groups. That is just so powerful and so promising to our youth. You know, Forrest, I'm going to come back to you once more, because I know that this subject really personally connects with you. It really hits home. So I'm going to ask you once more to share some of your experiences with us.
I've dealt with enough peer pressure in school. Speaking from experience, there have been a lot of people that have been isolated, including myself, and they have this one person that always comes up to them. And I had him come up to me too and be like, "Hey man, you want to be part of our friend group?" And come and find out, a lot of those people are either doing drugs or they're making fun of a bunch of people, and then they get violent. I've experienced enough of it, because I've experienced hate on both sides, no matter what race, disability. Like, they always, the ones that are established groups, like you're talking about, always go after the weakest link. They see the kid over there, he's all isolated, he's all like, he's very shy, And they always go over to them and they make them do things that the kid would normally not do, but they want a group to attach to. So they're the first people to contact them. So they're like, I'm attached, and if I get detached, I might get violent. It always happens time and time again, like a pattern. I've seen it way too much.
Yeah, what you said makes a lot of sense, because you have the children that are like the loners, and they want to have a sense of being and belonging. So the peer pressure comes in because of the fact that they want to have that sense of belonging. Someone that right. So someone coming to them that they would ordinarily not even consider hanging with, but the fact that they were approached kind of like takes the edge off. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. If you see, I've seen it too much. I've had some, so I was also a victim of that kind of thing too, because I was isolated. I didn't really have any connections of interests with anybody. I was very shy, like Rare-9 knows. And it's not been just the boys that were in there in schools, but I've had girls that have done that too. It's like, hey, if you do this, like you go punch that guy over there, I'll be your girlfriend. And there's things like that have happened, that they peer pressure the idea that, oh, I'll date you, or I'll hang out with you, or I'll be your girlfriend or whatever. They bring up the relationship status thing into making a lot of guys that are younger and don't understand the social aspect of what's going on, that you're being used. And that's a big one that does happen a lot. I've seen it happen. And I've had one girl that actually tried to do that to me when I was in high school. And she was like, hey, if you go beat the ever living daylight out of this guy and win, I'll be your girlfriend, is what she told me in class one time. I still remember it. And I didn't do that because I could see that was completely stupid. I knew the outcome of what would happen. I was smart enough to know, like, you're lying. You just want to see me just go beat up someone just for kicks. Because I was a bigger person also, too, in high school. I was a large person. I still worked out then. And a lot of people wanted me to go just beat up people just for kicks. And I wasn't that kind of person in school.
But it also, when we talk about respect, it also outlines where you stood as far as knowing your boundaries and also respecting the boundaries of other people. Some people would be so focused on being accepted.
Yep.
Because we don't know what type of home life they're coming from.
Exactly.
So sometimes just to feel like they're getting some attention,
yep.
Somebody may be open to it, but those are like the biggest letdowns, because when they come to the realization that the whole engagement was just for them to be used or made fun of, or a subject of attention in a negative way, then it becomes a greater letdown for the individual, and could cause them to withdraw and, go into a depressed state, etc.
I experience a lot of that stuff every day, honestly, because I'm around a lot of youths consistently due to like going to Comic-Con, going to Dungeons and Dragons, keeping up with the pop culture aspect of the world. Like, I always, every day, experience it and see it with youth.
What are some immediate steps can the organization take to best position yourself to assist these youth?
When you start the mentoring process, it has to be filled with information relevant to the individual that you're mentoring, as well as the environment that they're in. And we have to detail our programs specifically on an individual basis, because we can't group individuals into a specific group and say this one catches all that has this characteristic, and this particular arena catches everybody in that particular characteristic. That's not the way that we're going to be able to function properly. So what we have to do is meet the immediate needs and the individualized needs of the clients that we're going to be working with.
We have to start connecting the respect with the admiration. If you have respect for a person, that means you have at least some love involved in it. When you have admiration, again, you have at least some love in it, because if I tell Luther, I love his red shirt, there's a likeness there. There's a togetherness there. So that is what we have to begin to teach these kids. Why? Because youth have not been tackled with the responsibility of understanding respect, love, and admiration.
You bring a great point, Dr. Rare-9, because that is the pillars on which the organization, the Rare-9 Jaguar Mentorship Organization, is built upon. The first R is for respect. The A is for admiration. The second R is for rationalization. And then the E is for everyone. And then, of course, the 9 spiritually is the number of harvest, in some essence, the beginning of newness. So the name in itself brings a structured order that identifies 1, core values, as well as 9, saying that once these core values are once identified and applied, then we will begin to see something new. Why was that a core value to be added as part of your foundational pillar?
Well, it is a requirement, really, in the community development, individual development, world development at large, to have respect for each other, which is a sub part of love. You have consideration for other people. You have consideration for their belongings, and you have a bit of care for other people and for other situations and circumstances. So your scope is changed from me to us. And respect is recognizing that everybody has something positive to offer. If I can take the time out to find out what that positive is and help them develop it. And in the program that we have, we're assisting young people in becoming viable to the community, viable to themselves, and viable in a world that's ever changing. So it's paramount that respect is an established norm, not a rarity, but a norm for developing our mindsets and heart sets in our community.
If respect is something that's a requirement from everywhere, and that once respect is applied, it takes the position from the individual from looking at self, from self to others, and then us. So it becomes inclusive.
So what happens is with respect is, because of poor parenting, and it's a number of reasons: poor parenting, single households with one parent, the economy. We don't have a community that sticks together anymore. Children go into a school system on the very first day, cuss, disrespecting the staff, the teachers, the principals. But this all starts at home. And so one of the missions that we have is to get these kids and embed in them, teach them, learn them how to utilize respect, which will also help them one day possibly not commit crimes, know how to treat their fellow man, not be a negative leader, but a positive leader. There are so many different things that comes into the fact of knowing about respect. Dr. McKinney may be able to expand on that, but we have to start the concrete with respect.
Well, I agree with your analogy and analysis of respect. And the one area that I would probably focus on the most is the fact that we have to bring it home to each individual in whatever means or manner that's going to be sufficient and suitable to have that individual that we're working with, or those individuals that we're working with, understand better the requirements of having respect and showing respect, the requirements of being considerate, the requirements of all the different aspects that entail respect, such as how you treat others, such as how you treat yourself, such as how you deal with situations and circumstances. There's a easier way to do things if you have respect for an animal. And if it's a lion, you have respect enough to stay away, far away. If it's a cat, then that's another story. If it's your cat, if it's somebody else's cat, leave it alone. But these are the different rules and regulations that we live by, that we have to establish with the younger generation. That their rule lists, and not just the younger generation, some of the older generation have really lost their way. And who's going to teach the young people if we don't? And teach them correctly and properly. We have an education system that's trying to take the education away from low income and moderate income people because they don't need it. Well, that's not true. These low income and moderate income families have generated doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs, for that matter, and corporation chiefs. And it's sad to think that we're going to limit somebody based on where they come from on an economic basis instead of looking at the quality of the individuals. And that's what respect is, looking at the quality of each individual.
I appreciate that response, Reverend Doctor, and you hit on some very key identifiers. When you talk about teaching the youth of how to utilize respect, how to help them become a positive leader, and how it starts with each individual, not grouping them together because of their financial, their home life, their neighborhood, their community, none of that. It's being able to provide almost like a tailored service, one person at a time, but not grouping, although there may be some common traits, common practices, and different things that you can identify that youth of today could use to help to mold and shape them in a certain direction, holistically. However, there are key components that affect each youth. And unless you identify or take the time to analyze each one of them one by one, then you'll make the mistake of putting them in a classification just because of
one or two attributes.
absolutely. And I'm sorry, the word that I wanted to use just left right out the window. So I just let it roll on out there. And but I knew you had my back. I appreciate that. You went on to share about the requirements of respect, which I believe were so on point. Consideration, how to treat yourself, how to treat others, and being able to understand or have at least the knowledge of how to deal with situations and circumstances. Being able to deal with your emotions versus allowing your emotions to dictate, right? How to stand under peer pressure and things of that nature. So again, when you shared earlier about taking respect to the position of not looking at what benefits just me or what I like for me, what I want for me, but you consider others, therefore it makes the environment around me about us and not about just me. That was a mic drop all in itself, sir. Let's talk about if respect starts at home and you have children that are in broken homes, single parent homes, you have some youth that are even homeless. So when we look at youth that may not have a foundation of respect from home, where they can't get it from home because the home life is not in a position where it can nurture them to such a word or present them with values from such a word. What is now the next approach to take to best reach out to those youth who do not get that substance, that nurturing, that vital ingredient from such a home life?
Before I delve into your question, let me make a statement. Because someone is from a one parent or single parent home or from a low income family does not mean that they don't have positives to add to the community by and large. It does not mean that because they have a two-parent family that they're going to be respectful. It does not mean that they're going to have the attributes that we're speaking of in this program. It simply means that they have opportunity. But see, if you give someone who has less an opportunity, they too can grow. But when you snuff them out and you deny them education, you deny them opportunity, then you cause the problem. And in a lot of instances, our system causes the problem. And then it sets up another system to handle the problem that the system has created.
But what would you say would be some of the things that contribute to the youth of today that make them not even consider looking at the life of another outside of their own desires, wants, or needs?
Well, we have children raising children, number one. And number two, we have society that is warped. And when I say warped, I'm talking about the cares of the community are not fundamental. The cares of the community are financial. The cares of the community are not building a community or building a society. It's building a higher class with more money. And when you take the focus away from developing the community and you put it on having a higher class and establishing a class system in this country, you're going to have problems. And you're going to have adjustment problems. You're going to have situations where we're living to survive, and we're surviving to live instead of living with promise or living with hope. And we have to have the hope and the promises that there's going to be a better tomorrow than it was today. And if we have no hope and there are no promises, we have the situation that we have in this country now.
Confusion, selfishness, crime, pipeline to prison. We have all of those things as a result of the lack of respect. So I'm going to sum up what I heard you say. For establishing respect in the youth of today would help position them to see the greater good of their life and how it plays overall as a component for all mankind. When you tap into their gifts, their values, their beliefs, their special abilities, and they come to find that they matter, that there is value in their life, when they can see the value in themselves, then they can see value in others, have a change of heart, change of mind, and change of action. That's what I heard with what you just shared.
Okay.
Would you correct me, or would you add to or change what I heard?
I wouldn't change anything that you said, and wouldn't add to it either.
I believe that the Rare-9 Jaguar Mentorship Organization is strategically positioned, almost like Esther, for such a time as this. There are males all around this world, and the greatest thing is that you don't have to be positioned in a particular state. And now with today's technology, they could be anywhere around this world. If mentorship is needed, mentorship is available. Mentorship with Rare-9 Jaguar Mentorship Organization is just a phone call away. In closing on today, I'm going to ask you specifically, Reverend Dr. Luther, share with us a word of encouragement to the parent, because mentorship, even though the goal is to reach the youth, but sometimes in order to reach the youth, we have to get through the adult. So for the adult that's watching, that has a young male in their home, in their family, in their neighborhood. Give us some final words of encouragement that would say, we are here, we're available. Don't allow your don't allow your youth to either suffer unnecessarily, to get entangled unnecessarily, but help them necessarily.
I'm glad that you said the youth, because we work with males and females alike, and we've been successful in both arenas. The opportunity for us to work with families, with communities, is immense. And we have not only the knowledge, we have the desire to bring families closer together, to bring young people closer together, to make sure that the young people in our communities are assets and not liabilities. They're not numbers for a prison system that's waiting for them to turn 18. We have the capacity and the ability and the willingness to assist in developing young people into becoming the most of what they can be and the best at what they can be.
Hey, that sounds like the motto for the Rare-9 Jaguar Mentorship Organization. Why settle for less when you can achieve the best? And on that, we're going to wrap up this particular episode of the Rare-9 podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in on today. Dr. Rare-9, Reverend Dr. Luther McKinney Jr., I thank you for your attendance. I thank you for your participation. And most of all, I thank you for the heart for the youth of today. And I know that with the love, compassion, and care that you have, each life that you touch can only walk away better than they were when they started. Thank you again, gentlemen, for your time. This concludes our episode of today.